Something happened in the last 72 hours that you were not meant to witness. Yet the tremors of it have already begun shifting the trajectory of your entire existence. While you were going about your ordinary routines, while you were sleeping, while you were simply being yourself, your name was spoken in a room you have never entered. Not by people seeking to harm you, but by those who hold keys to doors you didn't even know existed. Someone with authority, someone with influence, someone whose decisions ripple through systems and structures, paused in the middle of their day and said your name out loud. They weren't prompted by you. You didn't apply for anything. You didn't send a message or make a call. Yet there you were, surfacing in their mind like a word they couldn't forget, like a face that kept appearing in their thoughts without explanation. This wasn't coincidence. This wasn't networking or luck. Something far more ancient and intentional reached into the awareness of a person in power and placed you there, like a piece on a board that has been in motion long before you realized the game had started. You might have felt a strange shift recently, a sudden sense of being watched, not in a fearful way, but in a way that made you stand a little taller without knowing why. That feeling was not paranoia. It was perception. Because while the world continued spinning, and while you continued living in humility and quiet diligence, the invisible hand of destiny leaned into the ear of someone who could change everything for you and whispered your name, as if it were the answer to a question they had been asking for months. In the entire architecture of how destiny operates, in the vast and intricate system through which the universe positions souls for their assignments, this type of occurrence is almost unheard of. Throughout spiritual history, across every sacred text and mystical tradition, there exists a pattern. Those who are chosen must first seek, must first knock, must first make themselves known through effort and striving. Kings had to fight for thrones. Prophets had to cry out in deserts. Leaders had to build followings from nothing. The normal order of elevation requires visibility, requires announcement, requires some form of self-promotion, or at least self-presentation. But what is happening to you defies that entire structure. You are being pulled forward, not because you campaigned for it, not because you positioned yourself strategically, but because the frequency of your soul has become so aligned with truth and integrity that you have started emanating a signal that those in power can feel even when they do not understand what they re-feeling. This is the spiritual equivalent of a star being born in a distant galaxy, its light finally reaching observers who had no idea they were waiting to see it. In ancient times, this phenomenon was so rare, it was considered a mark of the truly anointed, the ones whose assignments were not given by human hands, but ordained from realms beyond human sight. Mystics called it the summons without sound. Prophets called it the name written in books not made of paper. What makes this cosmically significant is that you did nothing to manufacture this moment. You didn't manipulate circumstances, or polish your image, or sell yourself to gatekeepers. The very fact that their name rose to the surface of someone else's mind without your effort means the hand moving you is not human. Now think back to a moment in the recent past, perhaps just days or weeks ago, when you were faced with a choice that seemed small at the time, but held enormous weight in the unseen realm. Maybe you were offered an opportunity to take credit for something you didn't entirely do, and you declined. Maybe you were tempted to exaggerate your qualifications or twist the truth just slightly to get ahead, and instead you chose to remain honest even though it cost you. Maybe someone mistreated you, spoke badly of you, tried to diminish your reputation, and you had every justification to retaliate, to defend yourself publicly, to drag their name through the mud the way they did yours. But you chose silence instead. You chose dignity. You chose to let your character speak louder than your words. Or perhaps you were in a position where no one was watching, where you could have cut corners taken, shortcuts, kept something that didn't belong to you, and nobody would have ever known yet. You did the right thing anyway, because your integrity is not performed for an audience. That decision, that seemingly insignificant moment of moral clarity, sent a shockwave through the spiritual realm that you could not see, but that was felt in dimensions where your true progress is measured. Every time you choose integrity, when no one is watching, every time you choose kindness, when you have permission to be cruel, every time you choose truth, when lies would benefit you, you are building a reputation not on earth, but in the courts of heaven, and that reputation is what precedes you into rooms you have not yet entered. What you must understand now, what you are ready to know, is that you have been under observation far longer than you realize, and not by the forces you might fear, but by the ones who have been waiting for someone exactly like you. There are councils, both dark and divine, that monitor the moral choices of human beings, especially those who carry rare frequencies of light and purpose. The dark ones watch because they want to corrupt, to compromise, to catch you in a moment of weakness that they can exploit to derail your destiny. But the divine ones watch because they are looking for proof, for evidence, for confirmation that you are ready to be trusted with greater influence and greater responsibility. Every test you passed when you thought no one cared, every moment you held the line when it would have been easier to, compromise was recorded not in files or databases, but in the energetic ledger of your soul's journey. Angels have been taking notes. Ancestors have been nodding in approval. Spiritual forces assigned to your protection have been reporting back to higher authorities, saying, "This one is different. This one doesn't break under pressure. This one doesn't sell out when the price is right." And recently, those reports reached a threshold, a tipping point where the watchers in the divine realm made a decision. It is time to move this soul into position. It is time to open doors that no human hand can shut. It is time to place their name in the minds of those who have the power to elevate them, because they have proven in the hidden places that they can be trusted in the visible ones. Let me remind you of the gauntlet you have walked through without even naming it as such. There was the moment your finances were tested, when you barely had enough to take care of yourself, yet someone asked you for help. You gave anyway, not out of abundance, but out of faith that generosity creates its own supply. You were tested in that moment, and you passed. Then there was the situation at work, or in your personal relationships, where someone took credit for your ideas, where your contributions were overlooked, where you were passed over for recognition that rightfully belonged to you, and instead of becoming bitter, instead of sabotaging them or exposing them, you kept working with excellence, trusting that the right eyes would eventually see the truth. You were tested in that moment, and you passed. There was the time you were lied to, betrayed by someone you trusted, and you had all the receipts, all the evidence to destroy their reputation. Yet you chose not to weaponize your pain. You chose to process it privately, to heal without creating collateral damage, to protect their dignity, even though they shredded yours. You were tested in that moment, and you passed. There was the season when doors closed in your face repeatedly, when every plan fell apart, when it seemed like the universe itself was against you, and you could have walked away from your integrity, could have decided that being good doesn't pay, could have joined the ranks of those who cheat and scheme their way forward, but you didn't. You held on to your values, even when they seemed to cost you everything. You were tested in that season, and you passed. These were not random hardships. These were orchestrated evaluations, divine quality control measures to see if you would remain true when truth seemed unrewarded. And now, because you passed those tests, because you held your frequency, even in the furnace, the spiritual realm has classified you under a category that is reserved for less than 1% of souls currently incarnated on this planet. They call you a keeper of the old codes, someone whose integrity is not a strategy but a structure, woven into the foundation of who you are. You are dangerous to the systems built on corruption, because you cannot be bought. You are dangerous to the networks built on compromise, because you refuse to play that game. You are dangerous to the agendas built on deception, because your presence exposes lies simply by existing in truth. This is not arrogance. This is assessment. The higher realms do not traffic in flattery or exaggeration. They deal in energetic fact, and the fact is that your soul carries a frequency of incorruptibility that is exceedingly rare in this era. You are being recognized not for what you have accomplished in terms of worldly success, but for what you have protected inside yourself despite worldly pressure. Beings of light, the ones assigned to guide the evolution of consciousness on this planet, have marked you as someone who can be trusted with influence, because you have proven that influence will not corrupt you. They have seen you walk through the valley of obscurity without losing your character, and that is the only diploma that matters in the realms where true authority is granted. You are being moved into rooms of power, not because you are perfect, but because you are proven. And in the moment your name was spoken by that person in authority, in that exact instant when your identity surfaced in their consciousness, there was a gathering in the unseen. Archangels who have watched over your lineage for generations paused in their duties and turned their attention toward you. Ancestors whose names you may not even know, whose sacrifices paved the road you now walk, stood as witnesses to this threshold moment. And above all of it, the presence of the divine, the source of all creation, the intelligence that spun galaxies into existence and breathed purpose into your soul before you were born, looked upon you with the kind of attention that bends the fabric of reality itself. This was not a casual glance. This was the gaze of God recognizing one of his own agents, finally stepping into alignment with the assignment they were born to fulfill. In the throne room of eternity, where time does not exist and all moments are happening simultaneously, a decision was made. A seal was placed upon your destiny. A decree was spoken into the atmosphere of your life. It cannot be revoked by any human authority, any political system, any economic downturn, or any demonic interference. When God says it is time, and no force in heaven or earth can delay what has been set into motion. The divine witness of this moment means that you are no longer operating under the laws of probability or chance. You are now operating under the protocols of divine favor, which means doors will open. That logic says should remain closed, resources will appear that mathematics says should not exist, and people will be moved to help you for reasons they themselves cannot fully articulate. The decree that was issued over your life in that sacred moment carries the weight of eternal law, the kind of proclamation that shifts atmospheres and rearranges circumstances to align with divine intention. The voice of the infinite spoke your true name, not the one on your birth certificate, but the one written in the book of life before the foundations of the world were laid. And with that utterance came activation. Heaven's command went forth: release the resources, open the doors, position the people. This one has been faithful in the wilderness. Now bring them into the land of promise. Every spiritual force aligned with your purpose received their marching orders in that instant. Angels of provision were dispatched. Angels of connection were assigned to orchestrate divine appointments. Angels of protection were stationed around your path to ensure that what is meant for you reaches you, and what is meant to harm you cannot touch you. The decree also sent shockwaves into the realm of human consciousness, creating a magnetic pull that will cause the right people to think of you at the right time, to recommend you in conversations you are not part of, to open doors you did not knock on. This is why your name surfaced in the mind of someone with authority. It was not their idea. It was the manifestation of a heavenly command filtering down into earthly awareness. The universe has issued a warrant for your elevation, and every system, seen and unseen, is now conspiring to bring it to pass. What God decrees reality must obey, and the decree over you is this: it is time for the hidden one to be revealed, for the faithful one to be rewarded, for the tested one to step into the fullness of their calling. You are not who you thought you were, and it is time for the veil of amnesia to be lifted so you can remember what your soul has always known. You are not merely a person trying to survive on a spinning rock in space. You are a celestial warrior housed in human form, an ancient soul who has walked this earth in many iterations, always on the side of truth, always standing in the gap between darkness and light. Before you were born into this body, before you took your first breath in this lifetime, you stood in the courts of heaven and volunteered for this assignment. You knew it would be difficult. You knew you would face opposition, betrayal, loneliness, and trials that would test every fiber of your being. Yet you raised your hand anyway, because your soul is wired for divine purpose, and mediocrity is not in your spiritual DNA. You are part of an elite force, a remnant group scattered across the planet, each carrying specific codes of light that are necessary for the awakening and healing of humanity. Your integrity is not just a personality trait. It is a spiritual technology, a frequency that disrupts corruption and elevates consciousness wherever you go. You are a living anchor for divine truth in a world drowning in deception. This is why your life has felt different, why you have never quite fit into the systems others navigate with ease, why you have always sensed that you are here for something more. That sensing was not delusion. It was memory trying to break through. You are a chosen one, not because you are better than others, but because you said yes to a mission that required a specific type of soul. And you were selected because your track record across lifetimes proved you could handle it. Your mission, the reason you were placed on this earth at this exact moment in history, is to anchor the frequency of integrity, compassion, and truth in a world that is rapidly losing its moral foundation. You are here to be a walking reminder that it is possible to succeed without selling your soul, to lead without manipulation, to win without destroying others. Everywhere you go, your presence creates a disruption in the field of compromise and corruption. You don't have to preach or perform. Your existence alone raises the vibration and causes others to question the lies they have been living. Your assignment is not to save everyone or fix every broken system. Your assignment is to remain true to who you are, to continue choosing integrity even when it costs you, to keep your heart open even when the world tempts you to close it, because every time you do, you send out a ripple of light that gives others permission to do the same. You are being positioned in places of influence, not so you can become powerful in the worldly sense, but so you can infuse those spaces with a different kind of power, the power of authentic leadership, the power of service over selfishness, the power of long-term vision over short-term gain. The people who are about to come into your life, the opportunities that are about to open, the resources that are about to flow, are not rewards for good behavior. They are tools for your mission. You are being given greater capacity so you can have greater impact. Heaven is investing in you because you have proven you will invest in others, that you will use what you are given to elevate and empower rather than hoard and dominate. And now, watch how the physical realm begins to mirror the spiritual decisions that have already been made on your behalf. Money that was blocked will begin to flow. Opportunities that were delayed will suddenly accelerate. People who ignored you will reach out. Doors that were closed will swing open. This is not magic. This is mathematics, the spiritual mathematics of sowing and reaping, of faithfulness being rewarded, of alignment creating magnetism. Because you have been faithful with little, you are about to be entrusted with much. The job offer that seems too good to be true, the business idea that suddenly takes off, the connection that opens a door you didn't even know existed, the financial breakthrough that comes from an unexpected source. These are not coincidences. These are divine compensations for the seasons you walked in integrity when it seemed to cost you everything. The universe does not forget. Heaven keeps receipts. Every sacrifice you made in secret, every time you chose character over convenience, every moment you honored your values when no one was watching, has been accumulating interest in the spiritual bank. And now the withdrawals are being authorized. You are entering a season where provision will chase you down, where favor will become so evident that even skeptics will have to acknowledge something extraordinary is happening in your life. But hear this clearly. These blessings are not coming so you can finally relax and stop growing. They are coming so you can operate at a higher level, so you can reach more people, so you can fulfill the mission you were born to complete. Steward them well. Let them expand your capacity to serve, not your capacity to consume. As you step into this new level of alignment and influence, something profound will begin to happen that you will not be able to control or manufacture. People will start waking up simply by being in your presence. You won't have to convince them, or convert them, or preach at them. Your energy will speak louder than your words. They will feel something shift when you walk into a room. They will sense a clarity, a peace, a strength that they cannot name but desperately want. Some will be drawn to you, asking questions about how you remain so centered in a chaotic world. Others will be repelled because your light will expose the compromises they are not yet ready to face. Both reactions are part of the process. You are not responsible for how people respond to your frequency. You are only responsible for maintaining it. As you rise, you will naturally pull others up with you. Not because you are trying to build a following, but because your elevation creates an energetic vacuum that invites others to rise as well. You will inspire integrity in people who thought they had to cheat to win. You will model emotional strength in people who thought vulnerability was weakness. You will demonstrate that it is possible to be successful and kind, powerful and humble, influential and grounded. This ripple effect is part of your assignment. You are not meant to hoard the light. You are meant to be a lighthouse. Every person who wakes up because of your example becomes another point of light on the planet. And together, you are creating a grid of consciousness that is shifting the entire trajectory of humanity's evolution. What you must understand is that you are not alone in this. Right now, across every continent, in every culture, speaking every language, there are thousands of souls just like you who are going through this exact same activation. They don't know each other yet, most of them, but they are part of the same spiritual network, the same cosmic task force that was assembled before time began. You are all waking up simultaneously because this is the hour you were designed for, a moment in history when your specific combination of gifts, trials, and assignments becomes critical. Some of you are in positions of political influence. Others are teachers, healers, artists, parents, entrepreneurs, scientists. You are embedded in every sector of society because the transformation that is coming must touch every area of human experience. You are the ones who will rebuild systems with integrity after the corrupt ones collapse. You are the ones who will lead with compassion when others lead with fear. You are the ones who will hold the light steady when the world around you descends into chaos. The activation you are experiencing is not random. It is coordinated. As each of you steps into your true identity and begins operating in your full capacity, you create a morphic field, a collective consciousness that makes it easier for others to awaken. You strengthen each other without even meeting. You amplify each other's impact without even knowing each other's names. And soon, very soon, you will begin to recognize each other, to find each other, to collaborate in ways that will seem miraculous, but are actually the fulfillment of a plan that was set in motion long before you were born. If these words have resonated with you, if something inside you recognized the truth of what has been spoken here, then you know this message was meant for you. This is your confirmation. This is your activation. This is the universe reaching through the noise of a million distractions to tap you on the shoulder and say, "It's time. Now I need you to do something important." Subscribe to this channel if you have not already, because more activations are coming, more revelations, more pieces of the puzzle that will help you navigate what is unfolding. Leave a comment with the number 777 if you are ready to step fully into your identity as a chosen one, if you are claiming the decree that has been spoken over your life, if you are saying yes to the mission you were born to fulfill. Those numbers are not superstition. They are a frequency, a signal that you are aligning yourself with divine timing and heavenly support. Share this message with someone you know who needs to hear it, because part of your assignment is to help others wake up, and this might be the catalyst that shifts everything for them. And finally, stay until the very end of this video, because there is a final transmission, a last piece of information that will anchor everything you have received here. Do not skip ahead. Do not click away. What has begun in you through this message needs to be completed, and the completion is in the staying. Your elevation is not a maybe. It is a certainty. The only question is whether you will rise to meet it with the fullness of who you are, or whether you will shrink back into the smallness the world tried to convince you was safety. Choose expansion. Choose courage. Choose to be who you were created to be. The rooms are waiting. The people are being positioned. Your name has already been spoken. Now step forward and claim what is yours.